Hello everybody. My mask is gross. Don't pay attention to that. Hey everybody. How are you? We're here. I wanted to connect with everybody here in Washington. And I want to talk a little bit about what we're seeing in the response to the trial and the verdict from Derek Chauvin. And this is such a complex emotional moment that I wanted to hop on. I hope you guys can hear me. You don't hear, or that there's like not too much wind and stuff, but I wanted to hop on. Hey everyone, again here in Washington. And I wanted to talk a little bit about this trial, maybe take some questions if you guys had any, because this is an important moment. And I think for a lot of us that have been in this fight for justice, in this fight for establishing true safety for our communities, hearing this verdict come in can create... Can you guys hear me? You can hear me? Okay. Hearing this verdict come in, I think creates a lot of complex emotions for a lot of us. You know, like you can be holding a lot of things at once, right? Like on one hand, people are saying, finally, like, yes, like something's happening. And on the other hand, this not feeling like justice. And I want to just let you all know and create the affirmation that this isn't justice. It's not justice. And I'll explain to you why it's not justice. It's not justice because justice is George Floyd going home tonight to be with his family. Justice is Adam Toledo getting tucked in by his mom tonight. Justice is when you're pulled over, there not being a gun that's part of that interaction because you have a headlight out. Justice is your school system not having or being part of a school to prison pipeline. Justice is a municipality and a government that does not, because it trickles down, right? That does not value military and armaments more than it values healthcare and education and housing. So no, this verdict is not justice. Frankly, I don't even think we call it full accountability because there are multiple officers that were there. It wasn't just Derek Chauvin. And I also don't want this moment to be framed as this system working because it's not working. And that's what creates a lot of complexity in this moment. Because the fact that we were all glued to our television sets because we saw a murder in front of all of our eyes, and yet we didn't know if there would be a guilty verdict, it tells you everything. And that's why I think it's really important that this verdict is not used as a replacement for policy change. Derek Chauvin is one of the first officers, I believe he's the 8th officer found guilty for murder since 2005. More than 15 years. That's not justice. And so we have a lot of work to do, because verdicts are not a replacement for policy change. Verdicts are not a substitute. You know, a jury doing its job in its system is not a replacement for us doing our job in that system. And there are way too many people, including my colleagues, that think that's the case. George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. Is it important? Yes. Does it solve the issue ultimately? No. This is not about cameras and retraining and chokeholds. This is about changing how we structure our society and the valuing of Black life. So yeah, there's legislation in here that's not bad. That's important. That should be passed. But even a lot of that doesn't hit the core, because politically, it has been something that politicians have not been allowed to talk about for a long time. And I'm okay saying that. This is not about a party. I mean, obviously Republicans got issues, but Democrats have a lot to contend with too. Not good enough. And there's some things we really got to talk about. We really got to talk about how democratically controlled cities still pump and pump and pump police budgets. We got to talk about that. We got to talk about, even when those democratic cities pump up those police budgets, do the rape kit logs go down? No. We got what's happening in New York City, where it goes to buying robo-dogs. So money's not the problem here. And I also want to say this, this problem doesn't just start with democratically elected municipalities. It starts here. It starts with the United States Congress, Democrats included, funding a military budget that's out of control, that militarizes our governance structure and invests in military more than it invests in so many other critical services that we need as a country. So we're cool raising this military budget year after year after year, putting and producing more tanks, more guns, more weaponry, more surveillance, and then that trickles down to our police departments. There are literal transfers of military-style equipment from people, from the corporations that we prop up, that go to our police departments. So it starts here. It starts right here. And this is not just about Republicans. It starts with Democratic leadership as well. And I don't feel resolved today. I don't feel resolved that we didn't even feel safe thinking that this was going to happen. This right here, this is where a lot of surveillance comes from. Surveillance technology. And then when people want to put, when we have police departments, NYPD, that wants to put facial recognition in the subway system, where do you think that comes from? It comes from right here. So I don't want this verdict, so I'm balancing and I'm holding space for complexity right now, because I am praying for the Floyd family. I'm praying for the city of Minneapolis. I'm praying for our communities that feel surveilled, that they feel like they can't even go to a nice store without picking something up and buying something because you're afraid of being accused of stealing something. Like, I want to hold space and feel like, that there's some shred or shadow of relief today. I think that's what I'll say. A tiny bit of relief. But verdicts are not substitutes for policy change. And this one case and this one verdict, we still have people getting killed by police every single day on average in the United States. And not every one of them has a cell phone, and not every one of them is a perfect victim, as people and media seem to need and want. And, it's just a shadow, a shred of the fact that millions of people had to march for George Floyd to be treated as equal and human in an unjust system. That's not justice. And so we need policy change. We need systemic change. I hope that if you're feeling relief today, I just want to affirm that if you are a community that has been impacted and roiled, if you're a person whose family has been torn up by this, I just want you to know that I'm holding space for you today, and that, we just need to feel what we're going to feel today. But this is not resolution. It's just a moment, but this isn't resolution. And this doesn't end until we address the massive systemic institutional racism in the United States that leads and accepts Black people, our Black brothers and sisters, our brown brothers and sisters, our Native brothers and sisters as less than human. That's literally what it is that we're willing to accept violence against some communities as a necessary cost for safety. And when we talk about these conversations of safety from what? From whom? Because what makes me feel safe is being housed. What makes me feel safe is when I'm not going to be thrown out of my home. What makes me feel safe is guaranteed health care, which we actually have in my district, by the way. And I think it's just, as a side note, if you're in New York City, city has implemented over the last 1 to 2 years guaranteed health care in our H&H hospitals. So if you're in my backyard, uninsured, undocumented, whatever you need, you can roll up to Jacoby Hospital and Elmhurst Hospital and get the care that you need. But that's a sidebar, because that's not what everyone gets. And we had to fight for that. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the bated breath. I'm tired of murder. I'm tired of people leaving their kids and their kids walking away and them being scared if they're going to see their kid when they come back. The fact that that's even a thought. That's what we're after. And until everybody feels safe, until we stop talking about bad sides of town and good sides of town and not wanting to integrate our housing for neighborhood character, when people fight so that their kids don't have to go to racially integrated school districts, that's what this is about. When we actually fund those school districts equitably, that's what this is about. When we end the school to prison pipeline, that's what this is about. We've got counselors instead of cops in schools. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. And so long as we fund, budgets are moral documents. They communicate our priorities. And so long as healthcare is not number one, healthcare is not our highest priority. So long as education's not number one, education's not our highest priority. And so long as weaponry remains the top thing, that's our number one priority. So I just want to affirm you all, if you don't feel relief today, good. If you feel a little bit of relief today, also good. Like, this is a human moment. I want to hold space, because this is not, but what this is not is resolution. It's not resolution. To keep pushing and to keep fighting, because we cannot just think that a verdict is going to happen and act like that's going to protect us and everybody else in this country. We can't be placated with that. Like, this is the most basic shred. If George Floyd were anybody else, if he were another race, if he were another gender, etc., would this even be a debate? So, you know, like my sister Ayanna Pressley says, we just want to fight so that, because black men deserve to grow old in this country. They deserve to see their grandchildren. And so do the rest of us. So I just want to hold that space for y'all. It's time to keep going. We have to keep going. We have to keep going. So, thank you all. And I hope you take some time, hug your family, talk this through with your friends and your loved ones, and, you know, in solidarity. We'll be out there. Bye-bye.